Yeah.
So, would you be comfortable telling how you got from being homeless to homeless?
Yeah, so how I got homeless is interesting. I worked 2 jobs. In the mornings, I cleaned kitchen equipment at a restaurant, and in the afternoons, I waited tables at a private dining restaurant, like a fancy, I had to wear a cummerbund at one of those places. And but I didn't have a bank. I'm somebody who kind of grew up in psych wards and things like that. People had never explained to me kind of money and how that works. So I always had like my money in my wallet. And so I cashed my check. I had my money in my wallet. I went to go do my laundry, and I put my wallet underneath my clothes while I went to get soap. And when I came back, my wallet was gone, and it was all the money I had in the world. And I was living with my sister. She kind of wanted rent every week. I couldn't give it to her, so she kicked me out. And it was really quick. It was kind of almost like one night I became homeless. And that was really a hard spot for me because I couldn't lose the jobs because they were the only source of income I had. So I had to take the money I did have coming in and spend a lot of it to not look homeless. So I had to pay for like a YMCA membership so I could use the shower in the morning. I had to buy like really awful clothes so that I didn't go into the park in a cummerbund because that wouldn't have worked well for me. I got pretty sick in that period. I ended up getting a really bad staph infection on my back, and I got a really high fever. And what ended up happening is I used to go to 12-step meetings, and there was this girl who wasn't doing good at 12-step stuff. She just kind of smelled like weed and listened to Fish all the time, but she let me live with her. Like, she let me sleep on her couch for a few months and get my stuff together. And I was really fortunate in that event because somebody kind of took me in and allowed me to just stay there. That kind of kindness isn't really common. I didn't choose to go to the shelter because it's terrible. And if I had gone to the shelter, it would have been a lot hard. Everybody knows where the shelter is. It's in an isolated section of town. It's right next to the police station. So in going there, I would have outed myself as being homeless, which would have kind of made me untouchable in a lot of ways. So yeah, it's weird because I think that's a part of homelessness people don't think about is I kind of always had money, but I couldn't get a first, last, and security together. And I also, like, it's not like I could buy food and put it in a fridge, so I had to go to like fast food places. I knew I was paying more money for food than I would have been. And it just kind of felt like quicksand. Like, the more I tried to get out of being homeless, the more kind of deeply entrenched I was in being homeless. And yeah, so that was like October to February of 2009, 2010. And yeah, and it was a really awful time. I'll be honest, like, one of the good things about being in a psych ward for being homeless is I had learned to be brutal in brutal situations, but it was just a really awful. At one point I was jumped and I had some money taken from me, and I got kicked in the face, I had some teeth broken. It was just but nobody cares. Like, it's not, what are you going to call the police and tell them you're illegally living in the park and someone did something to you? The police go through the park, so they will cut tents. So I couldn't have a tent. I slept, there's a duck pond, and they have benches that are like against the wall, and I would sleep under the bench because people didn't sleep there because it was a terrible spot to sleep. But I knew I wouldn't be messed with if I was there. So yeah, I wish I'd had resources then, but navigating all the resources, I made too much money for some of them. I couldn't have gone to DTA. I had a job. I would have had to lose my job and been out of it for a couple months to get support. And the shelters were brutal, so I just couldn't get to them. So it was a hard spot, yeah. Thank you.